Okay, this is wild. The woman you see on your left is obviously Erika Kirk. The guy in the middle is Yair Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu's son. The guy on the right is Tyler Bauer, the guy that Candace Owens claimed was having sexual relations with young male interns at TPUSA. What the is going on here?
It took a while, but now some of the things Candace Owens has been saying about Erika's past are starting to click for people. New reports are raising eyebrows, suggesting that the reason no one can clearly trace Erika's family background might not be random at all. It could have been set up that way. All the twists, the PR moves, the confusion around her story, some believe it's all meant to keep people from asking deeper questions about who she really is and where she comes from, with rumors even linking her to powerful family circles.
But just know that nothing is by mistake. Nothing. I will never forget the time I was in Israel with my husband, that was the second time, but the first time with my mother on a pilgrimage. And I was standing in the ticket line. And I remember looking behind me, and in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was.
Candace has made a lot of bold claims about Erika, and many in the TPUSA space see it as going after someone who's grieving. But there's still something that people can't ignore. Erika's way of handling grief has stood out in a way that feels different to many observers. While dealing with Charlie's passing, she appeared more focused on merch drops and turning the moment into a major public event, which had people talking. There were also moments that raised concern, like when she seemed unsure about important dates, anniversaries, even her kids' birthdays with Charlie, which only added more confusion to the situation.
Carl Kenneth Bronsby, Erika Kirk's grandfather. I did not expect to find the information I found about him. Can you believe it's likely he was friends with and working with the people who ran the Manhattan Project? What was the Manhattan Project, you might ask? It was the single most secretive project during World War II that controlled all of our explosives.
And now, during this period of loss, Erika has stepped into a new role, accepting an appointment to the Air Force Academy Board. She's now one of 15 individuals tasked with advising the Defense Secretary on key decisions about the Academy, including morale, finances, and academics. Charlie Kirk had held that same position before his passing, and many felt he had the background to support that role. But Erika stepping into that spot has sparked a wave of questions, with critics wondering how she rose to that level so quickly and what factors may have played a part behind the scenes. Supporters of TPUSA will say everything looks normal and that there's nothing wrong with Erika stepping into roles connected to Charlie after his passing. But critics are raising eyebrows, pointing out how unusual it feels that so many opportunities tied to Charlie ended up going straight to Erika instead of being more carefully reassigned or reviewed.
For Nano Dynamics, it looks like he was sued in bankruptcy court. And from what I'm told, in bankruptcy terms, when a trustee sues a director or a founder like Alan Rothstein, it is believed typically that that person may have taken money out of the company improperly before it collapsed. And then remember the company Innumerable, which he served on the board of directors. That was apparently a penny stock that traded on the OTC markets before also going bankrupt.
As the search for new leadership unfolded, Erika suddenly started showing up in spaces closely linked to Charlie's influence. Political roles, public visibility, leadership positions, it all seemed to land in her hands very quickly. At the same time, she continues to lean heavily on Charlie's name, making sure that connection stays front and center as part of her image and credibility. The media often frames her as someone without a deep political background, which only adds to the questions. Her past as a pageant queen and clothing brand owner doesn't clearly line up with the kind of high-level political influence she's now stepping into. People are asking, how does someone go from a private lifestyle into advising figures connected to national defense decisions? And then there's Candace's perspective, which takes things even further. She suggests that Erica's rapid rise isn't really about personal achievements, but more about who she's connected to and the position she was in.
And then there's this company, Shazoom LLC, which, if you remember, is a business funding company. And based on my research, it seems like Shazoom LLC has almost zero footprint, no major client reviews, no press releases of funded deals, no industry presence. And for a quote-unquote business funding company to have no track record of funding businesses suggests it might be just a shell company, a vehicle used to move money around rather than conducting actual commerce.
According to that view, being Charlie's wife and the tragic timing of his passing created a moment that elevated her profile overnight, leading some to question whether this outcome was simply chance or something more carefully aligned. Candace already pointed out that Erica has some level of military connection through her parents, Lori and Kent Franfee.
Their family, another prominent Jewish family that has been the center of many theories for hundreds of years and has been involved in everything from currency manipulation to economic crashes and to assassinations and everything in between. And that family would be the Rothschilds. Indeed, I was rather surprised to see that the two families are related, and pretty directly, because all I had to do was scroll over to the side and boom, there it was.
But that might just be scratching the surface. If you dig back into Erica's old social media, there's one woman who keeps showing up again and again in photos and videos from her time in New York. At first, it looks like just a close friend, but it didn't stay that simple for long. In a now-deleted post, Erica talked about honoring the Sabbath, and this woman, Nicole, jumped in to support her. Nicole reportedly described herself as Erica's cousin, mentioning that she comes from a Jewish background while also noting her own Christian identity.
But we do then learn via Jeffrey Epstein's emails that the president of the Corcoran Group is actually Linda Rothschild. And Jeffrey Epstein is working directly for the Rothschilds. He himself is saying that Corcoran Real Estate Group is all over his emails. Okay, so do then learn via Jeffrey Epstein's emails the president of the Corcoran Group is actually Linda Rothschild, and Jeffrey Epstein is working directly for the Rothschilds. He himself is saying that Corcoran Real Estate Group is all over his emails, okay? It says it right there. Someone read a background on Linda Rothschild. It has all of her different names that she uses and also has her listed as the president of the Corcoran Group.
She even said she celebrated Jewish holidays with that side of the family and had deep respect for the religion. On the surface, it could just look like two people who became like family while living together in New York. But then things started getting messy, because right when that post began getting attention, it suddenly disappeared. Not just that, Nicole's Twitter was reportedly wiped clean, with past messages gone without explanation. That kind of move only made people more suspicious, especially after another post surfaced accusing both Erica and Nicole of being dishonest about parts of their past, including their relationship and history together. And then there's another twist. In one of Erica's older posts, she tagged a man named Alan Rothstein, calling him her uncle and praising his strength and resilience. Here's where it gets interesting. Alan is said to be Nicole's father. That connection is what's got people talking, because if Nicole called Erica her cousin and Erica referred to Alan as her uncle, it creates a link that some believe was intentionally kept out of the spotlight. Candace also pointed to legal cases involving Alan Rothstein that she says raise serious questions. According to those filings, he was brought into a company as a consultant, but instead of helping, he was accused of passing along valuable company information to outside competitors while still collecting payments from the company itself. The claims suggest that large amounts of money were tied to these actions, which reportedly contributed to the company's financial collapse. The case paints a picture, at least from those allegations, of someone who understood how to move money in complex ways and operate behind the scenes without facing clear consequences.
What was Erica doing for the Corcoran Group? Who got her that job? Who recalls sitting with Erika for her real estate license? Do you do it online? I don't know. I'm ignorant about real estate license. I will say that. But I do know that there is a general understanding that if you want to move money, real estate is a very good way to do that.
Those details have only added more fuel to the ongoing scrutiny around the people connected to Erika and their past dealings. His name has also been linked to a range of companies, including real estate ventures and what some describe as shell companies. These businesses reportedly have almost no online footprint, barely any public details, and no clear information about employees or day-to-day operations. They exist, but people looking closer say it's hard to figure out what they actually do or who they serve. Now, shell companies themselves aren't illegal, but critics are quick to point out that they can be used as tools to move money quietly when transparency is low. That's where the conversation starts to get more intense, because Alan Rothstein isn't the only family name being brought up in these discussions. The Rothstein name has a long and controversial place in American history, with Arnold Rothstein often mentioned as one of the most well-known figures tied to organized crime in the early 20th century. Stories and reports over the years have linked that name to serious allegations, from financial schemes to major criminal activity, though details can vary depending on the source. Some narratives even try to connect the Rothstein name to other powerful families, but those claims are heavily debated and not clearly established, adding another layer of mystery and speculation to an already complicated story. Claims about Erika being connected to the Rothstein family and even broader names have led some commentators to build bigger theories around her background, but it's important to note that many of these connections are debated and not clearly proven. Still, those ideas have been used by critics to question how she was able to move through certain circles so quickly and gain recognition without a long public track record. Some have also pointed to her public statements about Charlie's views, especially on topics like Israel, suggesting she may be framing his positions differently than what others remember from his final days. That disagreement has only added more tension to the conversation, with people closely analyzing what was said versus what is being presented now. Another area that has drawn attention is Erika's past involvement in the pageant and modeling world after winning Miss Arizona. Around 2014, she reportedly mentioned working as a casting recruiter and had connections to agencies like Next Model Management. Observers have tried to link these details to broader controversies surrounding figures connected to that industry, including Jeffrey Epstein. But these associations are complex and often based on overlapping networks rather than direct evidence of wrongdoing. Because of how serious those topics are, many of the claims remain disputed, and separating verified facts from speculation is critical as people continue to examine Erika's past and professional connections. There are claims from some insiders that Epstein would attend meetings with Faith Evans and models connected to that world, and that Erika Kirk may have been present in similar settings. Because of that, critics argue it would have been unlikely for her not to at least recognize who Epstein was at the time. But these accounts are not universally confirmed and remain part of ongoing debate. Another connection people point to involves real estate networks tied to larger financial circles. The name Rothschild appears frequently in documents related to Epstein's activities, especially in discussions about high-end property deals. Around that same space, Erika's work history shows she joined the Corcoran Group in 2018 after getting her real estate license, which has raised additional questions from observers trying to connect timelines and associations. What really caught attention is that Corcoran is known as a high-level real estate firm, and critics argue it's not typically easy to enter without a strong track record or established deals. Some have questioned how Erica secured a position there so quickly, especially since there's limited public information about completed transactions under her name. Still, being part of a firm doesn't automatically imply wrongdoing, and details about internal roles can vary widely. There's also discussion around leadership figures connected to these networks, including names like Pamela Liebman and Lynn Forrester, which have been pulled into broader theories about influence and control. However, many of these claims, especially those suggesting hidden motives or financial misconduct, are disputed and lack clear, verified evidence. Because of the seriousness of these accusations, it's important to separate documented facts from speculation, even as critics continue to question how all these connections might fit together. Right after getting her real estate license, Erica stepped into the Corcoran Group, and that timing is exactly what caught critics' attention. Corcoran isn't known as the kind of place people just walk into without a solid track record or major deals behind them. That's why some are questioning how she managed to land there so quickly, with suspicions that someone may have helped open that door for her. Another detail-raising eyebrows is the lack of publicly known deals tied to her name during her time at the agency. Despite that, she remained part of the firm under the leadership of Pamela Liebman, which only added to the curiosity surrounding her role and position within the company. There are also claims circulating about leadership structures, with some pointing to names like Lynn Forrester, also known as Lindy Rothschild, as having influence in those circles. However, assertions that certain executives are merely figureheads or that the company was used for hidden financial activity are highly disputed and not supported by clear, verified evidence. Still, critics like Candace continue to argue that Erica's presence in that environment may have served a different purpose beyond traditional real estate work. But those claims remain allegations, not established facts. As if things weren't already intense, Candace took it even further, saying she believes Erica's presence in Charlie's life was never random from the very beginning. She points back to the early days of Turning Point USA in 2012, when it started as a small initiative and quickly grew into a powerful force on college campuses, shaping conversations and influencing young audiences across the country. Charlie Kirk wasn't just involved. He was the face, the voice, and a major driver behind its growth and fundraising success. Erica's marriage to him has been framed by some critics as a strategic move tied to maintaining influence and direction within those circles, especially on key political topics. However, those interpretations are strongly disputed and not backed by confirmed evidence. There's also been debate about Charlie's evolving views in his final period, with some claiming he began expressing different perspectives on major issues. According to that narrative, any shift in messaging could have created tension, especially among those invested in maintaining a specific direction. But again, these claims remain highly contested. More serious accusations suggesting intentional harm or coordinated plans involving Erica are not supported by verified facts and should be treated with extreme caution. While critics argue that Erica moved quickly to step into leadership and carry forward Charlie's legacy, others see it as a natural continuation during a time of loss. Right now, critics are saying it's getting harder for Erica to maintain the image of a grieving widow without people questioning the bigger picture. They point to what they see as patterns in her actions and decisions, arguing that something deeper could be going on behind the scenes. But those claims are still heavily debated and far from proven. As more people look into her background and connections, curiosity keeps growing, and many are wondering what else could come to light about her family history and past. Whether there's more to uncover or not, the speculation isn't slowing down anytime soon. Do you think there's more to the story when it comes to Erica's family tree? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.